All right, welcome back, guys. I just realized I'm in the wrong screen, but I am going to be bringing on my guest, AJ14 underscore. You may know him as Clock It Guy. We're about to have a little nice conversation over here, talking about his fandom of Matthew Stafford. He was at the game, the NFC Championship game, so we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna have some fun. So I'm gonna bring him on in, and here we go. AJ, we are live.
How's it
Welcome.
going? Man, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to talk about the whole entire experience from top to bottom. What a weekend, man. What a weekend.
I can't imagine, man. Well, let's start from the beginning of this. So
Yeah.
this whole journey, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it a million times. You were getting interviewed by, news media and all of that. But take me through this whole journey just this year alone with
Right.
Stafford. I mean, I know this is your guy, and I've been a
Right.
fan of him for a while. So you're way beyond me, and I love this guy. So take me through the whole, like, what were your emotions when he was traded,
Yeah.
last January?
Right. So, right when I heard that the rumors were going down, he's in Cabo in a hot tub with McVay, whatever's going on down there. We don't really know the full story, but I kind of felt it was coming. I knew Stafford didn't want to go through a whole new regime again. That would have been his fourth in Detroit. So that's not fair to him. I've seen it with Calvin. My dad's seen it with Barry, where you got these great athletes, generational talents that they just retire in Detroit early. And so I was upset when I watched the tribute video that the Lions posted of Stafford. I cried. I cried like a baby, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I was happy at the end of the day that he got out, and I thought we got a great haul for him. We got Jared Goff, who's been to a Super Bowl. And do I think Jared Goff is our long-term answer? Absolutely not. But for right now, with what we're doing, I think he's perfect. And who knows? He could be the answer. I don't want to jump the gun and say he's not, but he's shown some great signs in Detroit. But back to Stafford, I mean, I've loved watching him this year. Absolutely. I mean, the only game where I was rooting against him was the Lions, and I was like, I had my Matthew Stafford jersey on that game, and I took it off halfway through. I was like, that's it. I'm over it. I'm done with Stafford. It's the ex-wife. We're done with her, and we're moving on. But as the year went back on, I was like, this is my guy. I gotta still root for him. So
No, I hear you, man. That obviously couldn't have been easy. I went through something similar, a lot younger, but when Kurt Warner, takes the organization to the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl, which this organization has never done. They've won NFL championships back in 45 and 51, but they had never won a Super Bowl. So Kurt Warner was my guy.
yeah,
And I grew up with him and Falk, and people will tell you all over, well, I didn't like the way he was treated, or I didn't mind it. Bulger was better. I'll just tell you right now, I didn't like the way he was treated. He broke his pinky, wasn't the same. A little different story than Stafford, right? Like a little different. Injury. And on top of it, it's not long after they won the Super Bowl where he was just gone. Like they got rid of him pretty quickly. So, seeing him go to the Giants, and I live in upstate New York, I saw him at U Albany for Giants training camp. Like I met him, got a picture with him, and I was little. But I rooted for this guy like crazy. And Eli Manning, this rookie that comes in the league, they're like, yeah, he's gonna be on the bench. Tom Coughlin, uses Kurt Warner as the starter. And Warner has him at what, 6-5. And then he benches Warner for Eli, and they don't win another game.
yeah,
So then he takes a year and he goes over to Arizona, and he's behind yet another rookie, Matt Leinart. And Leinart doesn't play well in the preseason. They're like, he's not ready. So all of a sudden they're like, you know what? We're going to play Kurt Warner instead. And Kurt Warner, wouldn't you believe it, went off and took that team to the Super Bowl. And I was sitting there like you. I didn't have a Warner jersey, for the Cardinals. I had the Rams one. But I was like, I had a hard time rooting for the Rams when they played Kurt Warner, man. I was
yeah,
like, how do I even do this? Like,
right,
because I knew the Rams in that moment, they weren't very good, and those wins were only going to hurt our draft pick. And I'm
right,
thinking, like, Kurt Warner has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So I totally feel you with the
yeah,
Stafford thing, but it is different because, he was treated well in a sense. He wasn't like cast off as soon as he got hurt. But at the same time, and I do believe they traded him to the right organization, of course. But it just sucks though, because you feel like you and I were talking off air about Dan Campbell. Like you feel like he could bring this team to new heights. You feel like obviously Brad Holmes is a great GM, and they have some. We were talking about their draft class and how they got Onwuzurike and they got my guy Melifonwu. They in Sewell. I mean, they had a great draft class. It just it sucks because it's like now you're like, all right, well, I guess back to square one, and now you're rooting for him on the Rams, which I love.
Right. It is crazy. It has been a whirlwind season. Watching the Lions play, I feel confident in the direction of the Lions. I mean, getting rid of Stafford, I felt like was the only right answer. If you keep Stafford, then I feel like you're still trying to pick up those washed up veteran free agents that are going to get you 8-9 or 9-8, and maybe you're outside looking into the playoffs, but it's never going to get you to the Super Bowl. And that's for my teenage years and early 20s. I've only seen the Lions just be mediocre. They've never really had a team that I thought can make a Super Bowl run besides the 2014 team that I felt got robbed in the wild card game against the Cowboys. But
They
other than
did.
that,
You don't have to say you felt it. They
they
did. Let's just
absolutely
call
did.
it.
They absolutely did. But other than that, I really haven't had a team where I'm like, okay, this team can go all the way. So, but I do feel confident, like I said, going forward. I feel like we got the right front office for what we're trying to do, and to like actually feel like we're rebuilding the right way and getting pieces like Sewell, and we're gonna build the trenches. And it's rumored that we're gonna draft D end in the draft with our first or second pick. So who knows where this thing's going, but I'm confident. But right now, I'm happy cheering on Stafford. I'll always cheer on Stafford as long as it's not against the Lions.
I hear you there. I mean that it's tough when it gets to that point. Now, I went through with Kurt Warner. I started to like guys like Steve Breston, and I liked Larry Fitzgerald, and I liked Anquan Bolden, and I was like, oh, Edger and James are pretty cool. Are you going through that type of emotion where you're like, I like this team because of Stafford, but I'm starting to like these players. I'm starting to like this team a little bit more than just Stafford.
I don't know if I would go that far. I mean, there is guys like Aaron Donald, one of the greatest players in all time that has ever played defense. I think he's amazing. Jalen Ramsey, I've always loved his swagger. Von Miller, when he was on the Broncos, I loved him. So yeah, there's guys on the team like Cam Akers. I love Cam Akers too. There's guys on the team that I'll follow. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying like I want to like cheer for these guys all the time, but
Yeah.
I keep tabs on them for
No,
sure.
I got you.
Yeah.
It's all about Stafford. I got you because I mean to me it was all about Kurt Warner. I started to like Larry Fitzgerald obviously, and
Right.
I rooted for them in the Super Bowl against the Steelers, but make no mistake about it. Just like I'm sure if the Rams got rid of Stafford tomorrow, which would be just absolutely asinine, but if they did, you would not be a Rams fan.
Exactly.
You would not be rooting for them.
Exactly.
Whereas, same thing with me. Like if the Cardinals at any point got rid of Kurt Warner during that Super Bowl run or anything, I wouldn't be interested in the Cardinals. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, as soon as Warner left, I didn't care about the Cardinals. But I bring you to the next thing where you went to SoFi, you tailgated with Rams fans. So I'm sure it's a little bit different because I didn't have that experience with Cardinals fans, nor did I care to. But you
Right.
did.
Right.
And, Holden, who I know is in here, he was a big proponent of getting that
Oh,
thing
man.
going. A bunch of us retweeted it, and it was just so awesome to see you out there. You and your girlfriend, who Niners fans were making a big deal, about, and then you just were subtly like, you know what, whatever.
Hey, you gotta
screw
clap
off.
back a little bit here and there. That's just who I am, you know.
No, absolutely. So let's talk about that. Your whole, finding out everything, like finding out that Clock It video went viral, finding out that you were going to SoFi, and finding out that Stafford, FaceTime you? I mean, that was insane.
Yeah, it's all been nuts. I mean, it starts off with my girlfriend, really. If she doesn't record that video, we're not sitting here talking. So huge shout out to my girlfriend. She deserves a lot more credit than what she's getting for this whole entire thing.
Yeah.
But it really starts with just my reaction and my friends. I'm always on Snapchat recording my crazy reactions when it's fourth quarter and we're trying to make a comeback. and I wasn't recording. It was 27-3 or whatever it was, and going into the fourth quarter. So I was watching it as a fan, right? And then it ended up getting crazy. Tom Brady making his comebacks like he always does. So then I was getting more and more into the game, and sure enough, Carly's recording behind me. She captures it. I didn't know she was recording until I turned around. I'm like, "Holy shit, let's go,
Yeah,
baby!" And
exactly.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye that she's got the camera on me. I'm like, "Ah." I watched it back. I'm like, "Hey, you posted on TikTok. We might get a few views." And I expect all this to come out of it? Absolutely not. And then it was what, Tuesday night. Holden got in contact with me. He saw the video. I commented on it saying like, "Hey, that's me. Thanks for the repost," or whatever I said. And so me and Holden started talking, and he was like, I wasn't sure. I mean, I don't know Holden before this, and so
Yeah.
I'm like, this could just be a random guy just talking whatever, talking a big game. And sure enough, I fall asleep that night, and I wake up, and there's a GoFundMe with like $1,000 in it, and we got tickets. And I texted my girlfriend. I'm like, "Hey, um, yeah, so I mentioned something to you last night about like there's this Rams fan, like he's trying to get us out to the game." I'm like, "We got tickets to the game. Like this is actually happening now." And once Holden sent over the Ticketmaster tickets and I got it into my Ticketmaster account, I was like, "Okay, this guy's legit." Holden, I know you're watching. Shout out to you, man. Absolutely love you. Thank you for everything you've done. Everyone that's donated, retweeted, from top to bottom. I mean, it's seriously, without all the retweets and ESPN contacting us, and it's just been so crazy. Rams fans have been absolutely nuts, and I can't thank everyone enough for making this and the weekend it was. I'll never forget it. Seriously.
Well, it was just so awesome, like watching, like following the story. I think I messaged you or I said something, along the lines of, congratulations or, whatever, or, just this is awesome. I don't even remember what I said, but that's how we got contact. I
Right.
followed you, you followed me back. And that's what I knew. I was like, regardless if you went to the game or not, we would be talking. I would
Right.
have reached out. So
Yeah.
the fact that you went to the game, though, was really cool. And, watching it on TV, it's a completely different experience, and arguably it's the best sport to watch on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would agree with me. I probably say it is, but
I 100% agree. I think football is like it's gonna be you're on the edge of your seat pretty much the whole entire game because like at any moment there can be a big play. In the NBA, yeah, they might shoot a three here or there, or you got to wait around for a goal. But like in the NFL, there can be a 70-yard touchdown at any given moment. So like you're always on the edge of your seat. So that's what I love about football, and I love watching it.
yeah, I mean, no lead is safe. It's not like, basketball where you get behind by 20 and you can get on a run, sure, but there's not
Right,
a play where it can put you right back in the game.
right,
It's a succession of plays, a bunch of
right.
plays. So I agree with you there. I mean, I think, one of the craziest sports to watch live, I mean, I think football is. I would say hockey, but I mean, I
Yeah.
think football is the best sport to watch on TV for sure, without a doubt. So watching things like that hit, watching the I want to get your thoughts on all of it because
Man.
the Skoranek drop, like I felt like that just like ended me.
Oh man.
Like that was like his moment, man. Seventh round pick, like
Oh
oh, but
yeah. That drop was like I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm gonna have to walk out of here with just no shirt on because I cannot walk out of here with a Matthew Stafford shirt on because somehow they're gonna blame Matthew Stafford. And
yep,
I'm gonna go back to this play where this number 18, who I've never even heard of before, this guy drops the ball in the end zone. He's wide open. I stood up and I sat down and I just go like this, hands on the head. I'm like, this is not happening right now. And then the next play, we miss a 54-yard field goal.
yeah,
And I'm like, "Oh, no, this is not going to happen right now."
it
So
was
that was crazy. The Debo hit, I was telling you off air, we were in the
yeah.
500 section, but I felt that hit in my soul. Like I played football, you could hear that up in the 500. I was like, "Holy!" He got popped. So every single play, and that was my first time, obviously, at SoFi, and I don't think there's a bad seat in the house where we were sitting. It was awesome. You could see everything. That Stafford to Cup in the corner, that was kind of near our end zone, so that was cool to see. So the whole entire experience at SoFi, watching the game at SoFi, My girlfriend, she enjoyed watching it. She had a superstition thing going on. She was like, every time I watch a play on the screen, something bad happens. But every time I watch it, the people in person, something good happens. So she was like, I'm only watching people in person now. So,
That's
but
funny.
it was awesome.
That's awesome, man. I'm so glad. I still have not been, believe it or not. So you did
Really,
beat
you
me
got to
there.
get
Yeah.
out there, man. You got to
Yeah,
get out
I
there.
know. I want to. My co-host for my podcast, Alexa, she was out there. She got
Yeah,
tickets as well. Now I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken, but did you meet Kelly Stafford?
I did. Yep, I
How
did.
was that?
Dude, so here's the crazy story is I didn't run into her. I was talking with a group. I just got done taking pictures with people. We were over at the Rams Empire tailgate. Shout out to them. They took care of us, like food, drinks, everything. That was awesome. But we were taking pictures, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around to hear, "Are you AJ?" And I turn around, and she's wearing her blue tank top with the 9 on it. And I was like, "Kelly Stafford?" And I'm, like, almost on the ground. I, like, drop down, I squat, I'm like, "You're Kelly Stafford."
Oh
And
my
she
god.
was so cool, man. We took pictures with her, and then she was even cool enough, like, she wanted to talk to me for a little bit. We talked for probably, like, a solid 2, 3 minutes about, like, where I'm from in Michigan and just how much we appreciated them in Detroit and us thinking about her through her brain tumor and all the surgery that she went through. I mean, they were awesome in Detroit. So to actually get to meet her, I followed her for so long because we know that Stafford's not on social media. So like that's the
Oh yeah.
closest we can get to Stafford on social media. It was so cool to meet her. It was so cool.
No, that's awesome. It's funny. One of the first things I thought of when we got Stafford is like, oh, Kelly Stafford will come over. And like, I
Yeah.
was actually a big fan of hers, like, her battle through, that tumor. And
Hmm.
they used to do I don't remember if it was, I think it was a Christmas drive where they came, people came over and they had gifts for the kids in like that neighborhood.
Yep.
I thought that was
Yep.
so cool. They
Yeah.
did like a whole story on it.
Yes, they did
So,
that every single year in Detroit, and it was,
yeah.
like, for families that weren't so well off or they had something going on with, like, health-related issues, and I thought that was so cool.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it's all about, giving back. I mean, that's why I always wanted, a huge platform to be able to do that, be able to send people to the Super Bowl, be able to do things like that, like
Right.
give on, kids that don't have the ability to even, put food on the table or anything like that, be able to, that's what it's about. I love that. I know she does a ton of charity work. I know,
Mhm.
I mean, all the Rams do. So, I mean, I know Matthew's doing as well. Now, going back to the game. So, we talked about those moments, the drop pass, the
Mhm.
hit. But what was it like when you really felt it when they went down and they scored that first touchdown in the second touchdown actually in the fourth quarter to
Mhm.
like, because they had only keep this in mind. I don't know if you knew the stat ahead of time. You probably didn't. Sean McVay before this game was 1-23 when losing in the second half by 10 points or more.
Dang, did not know that.
And the only two games that he's won, now he's 2-23, are the NFC Championship games.
Really?
Yup.
That's a crazy
It's
statistic.
unreal. I saw it today and I was like, that's nuts.
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
is
all
nuts.
right, but this was different. Like this
Yeah,
wasn't the Saints, and they could talk about the egregious call all they
right.
want, but no. This was different. This was, you probably heard it. You probably had Niners fans coming at you even at the game. I saw all the videos. I was like, wow. They not only tried to take over SoFi, but man, they were rude.
Yeah.
But this was huge. So to get that touchdown from Cup and kind of really feel like you're back into it.
Mhm.
I feel to me like that was the turning point because you were able to match a touchdown with a touchdown.
Yep.
And the 49ers weren't like dropping touchdowns left and right. I didn't feel like Garoppolo could put up more than 23 points in this game. Obviously, it ended up being 20-17. What was the feeling when Cup caught that second touchdown?
Well, even before that Cup touchdown, I was, like, getting nervous because I felt the Rams fans were the energy was starting to die, and we needed something to happen to get this crowd back into it, and I even told my girlfriend, I was like, "We need to score right now. If we don't score here, it's looking very, very grim," and I even tweeted that, and so when they actually went down and got that Cooper Cup touchdown, I was like I was like, okay, this is probably gonna happen because now the crowd's back into it. It's late in the fourth. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, we got Matthew Stafford in the fourth quarter. We're not losing this game.
Oh yeah.
So it was crazy. That Cooper Kupp touchdown, that was everything. And he balled out. OBJ even balled out that game
Oh,
too. Man, did he come up big in so many crucial third downs. I saw some statistic about Stafford on third down. I think he was like perfect on third downs or
yeah, he was
something
something
like that.
crazy, like 10 of 11.
Yeah, it was crazy, but that Cooper Kupp touchdown was everything because you can't go down and kick a field goal there. You have to score a touchdown, and
Yeah.
then the crowd gets back into it, and we get a third down stop, and they try to go for it on fourth down, draw us off sides, and they punt it away. And I was like, okay, here we go, and that was that. So
Man,
it was so cool to see as a fan, the stadium turn after they got the touchdown and everyone comes back to life. Everyone's making noise again because it did get to a point where, yeah, we're standing up and we're not making as much noise as we were in the first quarter. But now that we're back in it, like, all right, let's bring the dogs. So,
the delay of game, that place blew up.
oh, yeah, that
I was
play.
like, "Oh man, they took over."
Man, that play I felt was another big turning point because that happened with like 6.5 minutes left, and then they dropped a pass right after that play or something along those lines. I don't exactly remember, but I just remember after that delay of game was this place was going nuts. We were jumping.
It was nuts. I mean, I remember even like Joe Buck's like, man, those Rams fans are loud, and that's why
Yeah,
there was a delay of game. You know,
yeah,
it's funny because everyone just assumes, oh, the Niners are going to take over SoFi. If that's even the case, keep this in mind. And no one talks about this element of it. If it's a close game, there's going to be loud noise on both sides. It's just at that point, then it's not a home field advantage. It's
right,
just essentially a neutral site game. It's not like the Niners have the advantage now because
right,
you guys are going to be just as loud when they're on offense. You know what I
right.
mean? So I always laughed at that because it was almost the most overblown thing throughout this whole, this whole spectacle, so to speak. But, it had to have been crazy seeing that, that last. I mean, I think Stafford could have thrown a touchdown that drive where they settled for the field goal when they
Yeah.
threw it to Sony Michel for like the loss of 4.
Oh yeah,
That to
yep.
me, that was like, what are you doing?
Right,
Because if you asked Stafford to put it in the back pocket of the end zone, he would have been able to do it.
right.
But they get the field goal, they go up, and then you get that last possession where, I mean, I tweeted it. I'm sure you were probably thinking it. Garoppolo's due. He has not
Yeah.
thrown a pick. Jalen Ramsey dropped one the time before. And I mean, everybody's talking. Like, I know this is how the media works, right? We can't give Stafford his credit. I don't know what this guy did to piss people off, but now all of a sudden, and yeah, I know you've heard it, is
Man.
well, if Tart caught the pass,
We got to move field goal posts all the time for
oh,
Stafford. It's always Stafford's fault. Like, I'm still reading shit about Stafford did this wrong and
oh my God,
Stafford got lucky that they dropped the interception. It's like, come on, guys. Stafford got unfortunate that his wide receiver didn't catch a touchdown.
I know.
It can go both ways. Don't get me wrong, but that you're gonna come down to that one interception. Like, yeah, it would have been backbreaking, but there's so many other things in the game that
And they
happened.
still probably could have won with that
Exactly.
interception.
They
I hate how
100%
they
could
just
have.
assume that like, oh,
The
that
game would have been
like the
over.
game was over. They're going
Yup.
in victory formation. That was never happening. And
Nope.
like, I've been saying this all year. On my channel, I've been backing your guy all year because
Yeah.
he's been my guy as well, just not as long as you. But I've just been like unbelievably blown away by just the pure. It's like they hate this guy, and it's like I don't know why. I don't know what he ever did to anybody. Oh, well, he's 0-3 in the playoffs. Okay, here's the context for you. The first game in the playoffs against the Saints, best Saints team probably in that Sean Payton era,
Yep.
he drops 4 touchdowns. So everyone's acting like he's playoff Romo, but he showed you he dropped 4 touchdowns. Defense gave up 45 points.
Yeah.
Second time, Brandon Pettigrews clearly interfered with. The game's over if they call that. And Mike Pereira in the booth after the game said that should have been called. So there you go there. And then the third game, Zach
Mention.
Zenner's is running back. That's
Yeah.
all you need to know.
Right. And in that Cowboys game, Des Bryant comes onto the field without his helmet, and he's getting in the ref's face, and that's not a flag either. I don't know
Yeah.
how. I don't want to get back onto that, but I
No, you're
can't get
right.
over it.
Oh, well, I mean, you had to know. I mean, back in that time, I was rooting for the Lions.
Yeah,
The Lions are like the most unhateable team. If they're going up against the Cowboys, everybody should be rooting for the Lions. If you're
right,
not a Cowboys fan, you should be rooting for the Lions in that
right,
scenario. Same thing with the Saints. I mean, the Bounty Gate and everything. I mean, I'm sure at
dude.
that time that was before Bounty Gate, but still. And then Seahawks, come on.
Right, and you got to go to CenturyLink, and it's January, and it's
That's
the
Legion of Boom
Seahawks,
territory,
man, and like
It's
you
like
said,
towards the tail end, but
we had Zach Zenner as our running back, and that was, I think, Stafford's biggest thing in Detroit was there's a statistic, and I think there was only, I want to say it was 11. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on
it's
this.
11 or 12 100-yard games.
100-yard rushing
Yep.
games where, like, that's just not.
And
It's
he only
not
had like one or
doable.
two this year.
Right.
Like-
But like you can't do that for 11 years, and when you know that Stafford's going to pass the ball 40 to 50 times a game, and when you have Calvin Johnson, like, oh yeah, you had Calvin Johnson. Well, when you only got Calvin Johnson and he's getting double teamed all game, and it's like, what do you want him to do when you
No,
can't
I
hand the
hear
ball
you.
off? So I mean, you win the game at the line of scrimmage, so to never establish the running game was always, I felt like, the biggest problem in Detroit. But it is what it is.
But it's also like, what were we always saying? I mean, I'm sure you were saying, I've been saying on my channel all year. Simply put, Stafford, if he goes to an environment that has an offensive line, that has an offensive-minded coach, that has an actual system, that has weapons that don't need to be the greatest of all time, but weapons, and has a defense that can support him, this guy can win a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But now all of a sudden it's,
Right.
he's like, it's always
Right.
too many
And
interceptions,
and
it's
it's
like,
like,
oh, come on.
the big thing for me is in Detroit, we lost so many games where the score's like 38-35, and it's like, if you're scoring 35 points and you're losing, what is going on? How
I
can you be
know.
losing this many games when you're scoring 35, even 40 points? I mean, even 28, for Christ's sake, man. So I mean, Stafford's always put up numbers, and it's stat Padford, whatever, man. Like he's trying to come
Oh,
back.
boy.
He's trying to come back in the end of the game. Like it's not like they're out of the game completely. Like they're a touchdown and a field goal away, and he's just trying to get his team to win. So the stat pad for argument drives me up a wall. Any Stafford
I think you
argument
lose
against him.
I've if you say that. I mean, I've
You
always
absolutely
felt
do.
that.
You absolutely do.
I mean, look, I don't like the Niners, but I don't make up different names for Debo.
Right.
Debo's broken my heart more times than I could count. Tom Brady is the reason the Rams don't have 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
Okay, and maybe more.
Right.
But I don't make like different names for him. I hate that, But I hate it even more, like everything with Stafford, because he seems like a genuine nice guy. There are some jerks. Like if you were a Johnny Manziel fan, and he's doing all this, dude, Johnny Manziel seems like the least likable human on the planet
Right.
when he's playing football.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand if you have that. But, like, Stafford? Like, really? Like,
And that's what I'll never understand, because the fact that Lions fans can even think about hating Stafford is beyond me. It really is, because that dude embodied what the 313 is all about. It's a blue-collar city. You're going to work every single day. If you're sick, if you're throwing up, you're probably at work if you're from Detroit, because you got to put food on the table for your family, and that's what Stafford did. He was out there with a broken back. He's out there with broken fingers in the playoffs. That dude was giving it his all in Detroit. So it just blows my mind that some people can even think about hating Stafford. And my argument to them is, if Calvin Johnson is on another team, if Barry Sanders is on another team making a playoff run, you're going to tell me you're going to sit there and you're not going to root for them? You got Calvin Johnson. He broke the single season receiving record. You got Barry Sanders at the time had the single season rushing record. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind that people can even think about hating these guys when they give everything to Detroit. Like, we got nothing to root for in Detroit. We don't. My dad's seen one playoff game. My dad's 53 years old. I've seen 3 playoff games. I'm 24. It's crazy to me, man. And I'm sorry for getting so worked up,
No, no,
but
no. This is great because we have some awesome Lions fans that have been with us all the whole year, right?
yeah,
And like people like you that like I said, they do it right. I'm not gonna tell you how to be a fan,
right.
but I am gonna say, you should be supporting Stafford. Um,
100%.
and it's not like root against your team when Stafford plays them, but like
Right.
root. Why would you not root for him when he's not playing you? So we get also these Lions fans that come in here and just are like, "See, this is what we dealt with in Detroit." I'm like, "What? What?" Like,
Exactly.
dude, they're 15-5 on the year. They have a chance to win 16 out of 21 games on the season.
Yeah.
And he's thrown to 2 guys, 2 of the greatest seasons of all time receiving wise. Cooper Kupp is the greatest.
Yep.
I have no arguments against that. He's had the greatest season I've ever seen from a
Crazy
receiver.
year. Crazy year.
Calvin's arguably 2 or 3,
Yeah.
you know?
100%.
I mean, and oh well, Calvin did nothing in the play. Calvin had over 200 yards in like 1 playoff game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when he was in the playoffs, he produced.
Right.
It just kind of goes to show you, and just look at, like, I like Jared Goff. I appreciate what Jared Goff did. And I understand, what I like about him so much is that, and he was not my guy, keep in mind. I was a Wentz guy coming out. But what Jared Goff did is they went 1-11 at Cal. So he wasn't like anointed as the number 1 overall pick. He had to really pick himself off the ground and really build up that program, and he did. And then he goes to the Rams. It's the same thing. You go 4-12 with Jeff Fisher. Sean McVay comes in, and you fix it. You go 11-5. But then, you lose in your first playoff game, and badly. And he says, we're going to fix this. And then the next year, they're in the Super Bowl. And he fell off a cliff after that. He just never recovered. Whereas
Yeah.
I'm like, Stafford never got a chance to play in those moments.
Right.
So now I'm ready for Stafford to play in those moments.
Right.
You know?
Well, and that was the big thing when he got traded is he said he wants an opportunity to play in big time games and have big time moments. And he did that Sunday night and he did that the week before.
Yeah.
And he absolutely destroyed the Cardinals
Destroyed.
in the wild card game. So it's like,
What
what do
you know
you
what they were saying though? Do you know what
what-
they're saying? They're like, well, he didn't throw it a lot, so Sean
Right.
McVay has lost trust in him.
Right.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking off air, and Stafford's already being blamed for the Buccaneers game before it's even over.
I know.
And the thing about it
Didn't have 1
is,
turnover.
Stafford has only thrown the ball twice in the fourth quarter when you got a 20-point lead, and then you want to wait till the last drive of the game for him to throw the ball. So it's like the argument just blows my mind. It really does. And I will die on the hill of backing Stafford my whole entire life. Like, no matter what team he goes to, I'll always have Stafford's back. I will never understand where the hate comes from.
I won't either.
Where do you think you're going to get a better quarterback? Like, the argument of him being in the top 10, whatever, he's probably right around. I'm always on the argument like 7-12. I always think he's right around there. Now that there's a few guys retiring, like,
I think he's the
moving
best
moving
quarterback
top
now in
5.
the NFC.
Right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely got the argument to be that. So
Because I think Rodgers is going to the AFC. So
yeah, who knows?
we'll see.
yeah.
But
But I don't know. I don't get it either. I really wish I knew where Stafford got all this hate from, but who knows?
no, I hear you, man, and I know you gotta get going soon.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna ask you 2 questions, okay?
Mhm.
2 of them. Stafford. First off, Stafford early on in the year, he kind of toyed with the idea of like he could play for another 10 years, and he was saying he hopes that he plays, with the Rams like for the next 10 years. Can he do that? Like I'm asking you like unbiased, like I understand like you're a diehard fan, but like do you feel like he truly can do that with all of the immense pressure from the injuries that he sustained throughout his career?
Right. I think that's the biggest thing. I think Stafford, I would say he's probably got 6 to 8 years left in him.
Yeah, I
6
think
to 8
so as well.
solid years, and that's if he can stay healthy. Like, he got protected very, very well this year. That didn't happen in Detroit, and he was always riddled with injuries. So I think if he can stay healthy and he continues to win, he'll stay in the league for another at least 6 to 8 years. I think a big thing nowadays is like family. We see Tom Brady, he's leaving because of family. Stafford's got 4 young girls, and I'm sure he wants to be a part of their lives. As being a quarterback is
Yeah,
the most demanding position. Like you're constantly doing film and whatever you got to do. So I think that's another big factor in his decision is his kids. But I would say 6 to 8 years, and who knows, it could be more if he keeps winning. He's getting a taste of what it's like to win.
absolutely.
He hasn't had that. I
And I
mean,
don't think Kelly is the type of person that would just no, you're done.
no, absolutely not. I don't think so either. I mean, you saw her reaction to when they won the championship that
Yeah,
they're out there on the field hugging like they've been waiting for this moment. This is what Stafford came into. He was the number one pick.
I
This is what he
know.
was supposed to do in Detroit. I don't like people don't get that. Like he came to Detroit. He was supposed to get us a championship. He was supposed, and now he's doing it in LA. And I'm so happy for him. I really am.
No, I absolutely hear you. And I think that's the cool thing is that there's a lot here where Stafford loves playing the game. You can just tell he's all about the game. And you could also tell Kelly actually loves him playing the game. You know, it's
Yeah.
not she's already conditioned. She
Right.
went through all of the the bumps and the bruises of Stafford playing this tough sport, but she's been with him since Georgia, so she
Right.
knows. And I think that's a good thing. Whereas like Giselle, like she was just like, Tom, no, you're gonna be a dad now. Like
Right.
and he's like Stafford, I don't feel like has that like leash. So,
Right.
he could
Well, and the
theoretically play, like you're saying, 6 to 8
right.
years, maybe longer.
And the thing about Kelly is she's out there at the tailgates, she's partying, she's
Yeah,
drinking. So I know she's having fun in LA with it. So and she was having
absolutely.
fun in Detroit. So I don't think Kelly will be the reason why he stops, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I think he should stay. I'll just say that because I
Yeah,
think the Rams look really good long term. They're going to get all that money off the books, and they could bring back Odell, Von Miller, and almost run the entire team back. To be honest
scary.
with you, so that's horrifying. Now, last question, and I will
Yeah.
wrap this thing up for you. And you can give me your full analysis
Yeah.
on it. How's the Super Bowl going now? What are you expecting? What do you
Oh,
look at? How's this thing working out?
yeah. So what we got 4.5 point favorites for the Rams.
Oh, they're up to 4.5 now.
Yep, I think the line moved
Wow.
a little bit later today. I think it's gonna be a lot more than that.
Really?
I think it's gonna be I don't want to say a blowout, but I think it's gonna be a lot more lopsided than people are expecting. I think this Rams defensive line is gonna give the Bengals so much problems. And yeah, Joe Burrow, I love Joe Burrow. Like, if the
Same
Rams
here.
aren't in the Super Bowl, I am rooting for Joe Burrow. Joe
Right?
Burrow has
Exactly.
so much swagger. Jamar Chase, I mean, that whole entire wide receiving group is just they're so fun to watch. That young team, that Cinderella story that they're on, like I'm always rooting for the Cinderella. I'm always
Yeah.
because I am a Cinderella. Like the Lions, they are the Cinderella story always. So for the Bengals to be in it, great for them. Joe Burrow, so much swagger. Natty, Heisman, Super Bowl, never happened. He can do it in 3 years. And I don't think that's happening right now. It will definitely happen in the future. I think the stage might be a little bit too bright for some of these young guys, a little bit too early. Um, so we'll see what happens. But like I said, this Bengals offensive line is a little weak, and this Rams defensive line is very solid. So we'll see what happens. I could be totally wrong. Who knows? We could end up in a shootout and go 45-42. Who knows? But my prediction's 31-17. I got the Rams.
I could see it. You know, I could sorry, I just like choked and died a little
No,
bit,
you're
but
good. You're good.
yeah, you ever swallow like your own spit? Like, yeah, that's great. Uh we're just open on this channel, man. Everybody's seeing it all. The spider coming down midstream. Oh, you know. No, I think 31-17 is possible. I mean, really, theoretically, the Rams should be favored by like a ton, but it comes down to the one game we saw. And I'll never say that a team is guaranteed to win besides the Rams. I think that they're going to win. But anyway, I'll never say a team is guaranteed to win the Super Bowl after I saw what was probably the greatest offense we will ever see. Peyton Manning, 55 touchdowns with the Broncos. Rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. He was freaking incredible. Julius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Wes Welker, Eric Decker. Like, no one was stopping that offense.
No.
And then you had C.J. Anderson, and then all of a sudden there's a bad snap over Peyton's head.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault.
Right.
But he gets snapped in the end zone, and it's just one of those things, man. It's a snowball effect. You know, those little mistakes can just absolutely just destroy you. And so, I mean, hey, you know, the Niners had a 10-point lead on the Chiefs, and the Chiefs came back and won. So
that's another thing is, like, the Bengals are by no means a bad team. They 100% deserve to be in the Super Bowl. They beat the Chiefs twice in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. They were in the Super Bowl the past 2 years. So the Bengals 100% deserve to be in there. I think their Cinderella story is going to fall a little bit short. The slipper's not going to fit. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited. So I'll be cheering on my boy Stafford. And yeah.
Man, you better get video of that. You better get video
absolutely.
of that. So
absolutely.
We'll have to have you on again.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
It's been fun. I'll have to have you on whenever. I mean, honestly, talk about the Lions, whatever. I mean, I like covering the NFL in general. So
awesome.
You know, this is awesome. You know, I'm
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming on.
Hey,
Guys,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. For AJ14_, go follow him right now. Go follow him on Twitter. You know, do that. And you can follow me on Twitter at JKBogan. I'm Jake Ellenbogen signing off. JE Live. You guys take care. I'll see you guys
quick
soon.
before we sign off, I just want to say a huge shout out to all the Rams fans for this whole entire weekend. You guys really did put this whole entire thing together, from the GoFundMe to the tailgating to stopping me in the stadium, getting your picture. I loved every single second of getting to know you guys, and you guys really have been so awesome to me and my girlfriend the whole entire weekend we were there. So just thank you guys so much, and I really do appreciate it.
My man over here. You understand it. By the way, Patrick Mahomes, it's not before anyone leaves, Patrick Mahomes, okay? When Matthew Stafford throws a no-look pass, it's not him channeling his inner Patrick Mahomes.
It's Matthew
He was
Stafford.
10 years old when Matthew Stafford came into the league. And
Matthew Stafford's been going like this since I was 13 years old. So stop that, please.
That's how we're ending it. Later, guys.